I got a call yesterday from the owner of my local bike shop, super cool bike shop, telling me that the Specialized rep was going to be in town and he was putting together a select invite list to test the new Epics. So I had to think about it for about half a second. I'm going to ride today the Specialized Epic EVO. This is the new one. The Epic EVO is now 130 in the front, 120 in the back. It used to be a 120, 120 bike. The new Epics are 120, 120. The difference is too that this one does not have what used to be the brain. It's now the flight attendant. And the Specialized guy is about to give us a little update, a tutorial on the flight attendant. It's really cool. So real quick, this bike has SRAM, EXO, electronic shifting, and then a Fox dropper, and then Fox fork, a Fox shock, which again does not have any kind of brain or flight attendant. It's just a straight shock, which I actually don't mind.
Epic replaced Epic EVO, where we had 120, 110. This is 120, 120. Then we have Epic EVO, 120 rear, 130 front. The main differences between the two bikes is going to be the EVO is going to be a little more trail spec because it's got a little beefier brake, a little more fork on the travel, bigger tires, and that's really it. Other than the cockpit, you see they got 2-piece on that and this Epic S-Works. The S-Works is the only one that comes with this 1-piece. And then again, you have the flight attendant is another difference on S-Works versus the Pro and Expert model. So if you got an Expert or a Pro on a regular Epic, you would get a twist grip shift. So you manually would switch between open, pedal, which is we're calling the magic middle, and the lockout mode. So you'd have to do that on the fly, where the flight attendant does it for you. Just kind of does the thinking for you. That's really the main difference. They're the same tunes on the, we're talking about the regular Epic, they're the same tunes inside the bikes. It's just this automatically changes for you, and the other models below it are a twist grip. Other than that, that's kind of the base of the same frame, same rear travel. So the characteristics are pretty much the same. You're just speccing it more for race or more for fun and play and trail.
Is the geometry any different? Otherwise, really, okay.
No different geo. The only difference coming spec is that'll have, because there's a flip chip on these bikes, you can flip these to high or low. This will just come in a high setting, so it's a little less slack, and this will be a little more slack by 1/2 degree just because it's in the low setting. You can change that on either bike.
Okay.
And of course, because you have a 130 fork, you're going to get a little more trail of the front end. The bike will be a tad bit longer, but not much. All right, so flight attendant takes, this is the main unit here. It's all an ecosystem. So basically, you have to input the power meter, and it's kind of going to drive it and tell you what data is going on. So basically, they all talk to each other. So that cadence sensor talks to that derailleur, talks to that dropper, which now will tell the shock and fork what setting it should be in. So this could be in a pedal setting on the rear. The fork could be in an open mode. So they can be in different modes. Where on a twist grip, you're stuck with one or the other. You either got to go to a pedal mode, open mode, or locked out. Where this thing will think for you as far as, well, he's on a kind of a hard surface. Let's keep the front maybe a little softer because there is some bumps, and we'll keep the rear more stiff. So it's continuously just changing.
Independent, real-time, front and back.
Milliseconds.
Wow.
Like
Cool.
in a 90-minute race, the Pro World Cup guys that have tested this bike, they'll log back and show that the bike did like 1,000 adjustments during a race. Like you could never do that in a race.
I can hear mine shifting in the air when I'm in a jump.
Yeah. It's freaking wild. And if you hit, like let's say the rear is kind of locked out, you'll hit a bump, and because the front was hit at first, the back would come undone. You know, just because it's feeling that. Yeah, man, it's pretty mind blowing when you ride it. The way it takes a while for it to learn you. I will say, you need at least 20 rides. But after 20 minutes, it kind of learns your characteristics, and it'll sense like, hey, you know, the way you're pedaling, your cadence, and all that stuff. It's just the more you ride it, the more it learns. So like short test rides are kind of tough on the flight attendant bikes.
Makes sense.
Just because it's gonna learn you more. The more you ride it, the more. I've heard one of the shop guys that had taken his out for the first 20 minutes, and he's like, dude, this thing feels weird, man. It's like, I'm like, you gotta ride it more. He's 2 rides later, totally different bike. So the more input it has, the more it's just wild that it can do all that.
So I just finished my ride on the Specialized Epic EVO, and here's my synopsis. So the best way I can describe that bike is very lively, but also very planted. The thing that I noticed first off was how great it felt in the corners. So it has that flowy feel in the corners, but yet at the same time, it's very lively. Like, I felt like I could hop back and forth between turns really effortlessly, but yet I didn't feel like the bike was sketchy. And it really, I mean, I don't know what the head angle is on that bike. I'll put it on the screen. But it had, so if you watch my channel, you know that a transition spur is one of my favorite bikes, and it felt very similar. Like, the top tube felt a little bit longer, so it had a nice front center. And what I really have come to appreciate in a bike is a long front center. I don't know what it is on that bike. Again, I'll put that number on the screen, but I would say it's probably longer than the bike that I've been riding. So my current cross-country bike is 120 in the front, 100 in the back. Great bike, 9er RKT9, one of my favorite cross-country bikes. The other thing that I noticed about the bike, and this is what I noticed with a stump jumper that I've had in my fleet. I've had a couple in the past, and the tires. So I actually really like the feel of the Specialized tires. The rubber compound that they use gives it a kind of a damping feel in a good way, where the bike feels like it absorbs all that little trail chatter. And so basically you've got the combination of tires that mute bumps, you've got suspension that is really dialed, and you've got a really great geometry, and all of that comes together in a bike that just feels so flowy and smooth and yet lively on the trail. And the trails that we rode today were cross country, and I was behind some super fast guys. One of them is a pretty top pro in our state, and he was talking in the front, and I'm just gasping for air. But I felt like the bike was fast, not quite as fast as my current bike, because I think it's the tires. So even though those tires have a planted feel and a muted feel, they, to me, do feel a little bit sluggish. Like, that it would not be my top tire choice for a cross-country bike, but that's, the Epic EVO is more of a trail bike. It's, to me, I call it a down country, but it's a short travel trail bike. And so tires are perfect for that. But if you're gonna like race that bike and ride it really fast, I would put on some faster tires. Maybe some of other Specialized tires, or my favorite is Maxxis. Schwalbe's, I like Schwalbe's too, but that's a great thing about bikes, is you can change the wheels and tires, or really just the tires, and make it feel just like a different bike. So, but yeah, I would say overall, the Epic EVO was amazing. And it is a bike that I would consider for my own personal bike, and I don't say that for a lot of bikes. It's kind of my favorite travel range, like 120 in the back, and then like I like 120 in the front, but 130 is also really good, because it didn't feel like that fork was 130. Like, it felt like it in the travel, but as far as the agility, it felt like a 120 fork. So yeah, super fun ride. It was just a demo, so I was only out there for 45 minutes, but for that amount of time period, great bike. I would love to take that bike up in the mountains. Again, it felt very similar to the Spur. Spur is one of those bikes that, whether you're on cross-country trails or just downhills in the mountains, the bike feels just incredible. Planted, flowy, smooth, all that you look for in a bike with that travel range. So, all right, that's going to wrap up my little demo of the Specialized Epic EVO. Very sweet bike. If you've ridden one, let us know in the comments below, especially if you've ridden the new one that I just rode, the 130, 120 bike. Let us know what your thoughts are. All right, with that, I will catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.